Joe Shane did grow a sack when he took Jaxson Dart, the Stims New York Giants Strike Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. I was waiting to figure out how long it should be before I do a Jaxson Dart video. So the draft will be almost a week ago on Thursday. Today is Wednesday. And, well, I figured a week was a good enough amount of time to discuss the new project. And let's be honest, it's a project franchise quarterback. Now, everyone should know right off the bat, everyone wants the kid to succeed. Everyone wants the kid to do well. But the problem is this. When you take a quarterback, you trade back up into the first round and take a kid at 25th in a very poor quarterback class, you are saying that you believe that this kid can dictate and be part of this franchise's future in the long haul. And I laugh because there are so many things to like about Jaxson Dart, and there's so many things to really dislike about Jaxson Dart. He is more than just an unfinished project. And like I said, the thought process of Joe Shane of taking a quarterback like Jaxson Dart and letting him sit a year is what you're going to have to do. And we kind of want to break down some of the issues that Jaxson Dart's going to have coming into this league immediately. And there are going to be some problems. And I'm just trying to figure out. There has been rumors and speculation that Joe Shane wanted to go Shedeur Sanders, and his head coach decided that he wanted to go Jaxson Dart. Of course, he has this thought process, Brian Daboll does, that he's more of this fitting quarterback, this more Josh Allen type quarterback to run this offense. I've watched this offense for 3 years. And we used to make fun of Jason Garrett for one of the most vanilla brand offenses that I've ever seen. There's no rocky road in this offense outside of Malik Neighbors for the last 3 years. And somehow, we're going to turn, this kid's going to turn everything around. Probably not this year, maybe next year. But there's just some things that are distressing immediately about Jaxson Dart. And do you want to get into the fact, you want to get into the Lane Kiffin factor. Lane Kiffin has been known to groom and maturate quarterbacks, to move them into a right direction after year 2. And not that they are going to be stellar pros, but when you're in the Lane Kiffin offense for 2-3 after the first year into that second and third year, you really start to grow. And he's had a history of working with quarterbacks, going back all the way to Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley in that second season took a huge step after throwing only 15 touchdowns and 14 interceptions as a freshman. Then he threw 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions in 2010. But then he really got under that Lane Kiffin offense. Trojans went 10-2, finishing with a career-high 3,528 yards. School record then, I still think it's a school record now, 39 touchdowns and just 7 interceptions. His completion percentage rose almost 7 points to 69.1 that last season, with a passer rating of 61.2. It's crazy. It's crazy to see how he has grown. You looked at the success that he had, and you're like, well, he's going to go to the pros and put up big numbers. It doesn't happen. You go back to Chris Robinson when Kiffin was at Florida Atlantic University. I used to follow Florida Atlantic University back in 2018, back in 2019. Robinson, that first year in 18, threw for 2,540 yards, only 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. But then they were only 5-7. But then he took into that second season and the Kiffin offense. And next thing you know, this kid's throwing for over 30,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions, and led FAU to a 13-3 record. Again, he moved forward under the system. And the system we're going to get into. But then you look at Matt Corral. I think it's Corral. Matt Corral, the Ole Miss product, came over from Southern California. Again, he got into that system known as Lane Kiffin in that second season under Kiffin. Didn't produce as many touchdowns, but he still had 20. He had a lot of injuries that year. But the Rebels, I believe, won 10 games for the first time and earned a berth to the Sugar Bowl. So another one that progressed. Another one that didn't do well in the pros, but he progressed. And there's a reason why. The Lane Kiffin offense is a very simplistic offense. We've talked about this before with Daniel Jones. Pat Shurmur was a genius. And with Daniel Jones. A genius in general, no. But when it came to working with Daniel Jones, he was a genius. He understood what he had. He understood that he had a rookie quarterback that is from Duke who had some skills in reference to running the ball and throwing the ball, but he did not have the proficiency of reading defenses going back to college. So what did he do? Same thing that they do with Jaxson Dart. And same thing that Lane Kiffin always does. He cuts the field in half. He gives him an option and tells him to throw to a spot. And then if the spot's not there, he runs. It's not that difference. You're basically looking at a one read and a half field read. Everyone ever shows me the highlights of Jaxson Dart, it's always a rollout. It's always a rollout because of the fact that he's cut. Same thing they did with Daniel Jones in 19. You cut the field in half. You give him one primary read, and then the other read is either to check down or to run. That's what Lane Kiffin does. And it's not the fault of Jaxson Dart. That's just the system that he runs. He runs a very simplistic system that most quarterbacks can excel in because Lane Kiffin's doing all the work. And you say, Tim, that's not true. He's not doing all the work. The quarterback's got to be smart. Really? Okay, let's listen to something here. I want to play something here. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can't pull this up. Let's see if we can get some audio on this one. Hold on, guys. Here we go. You ready? Here we go. Hold on.
Stand up. Let me see your snap count. Let me be honest with me, because I see at USC, I see this guy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You ready?
Yeah. No, I want to hear the snap count.
Yeah.
Really? Every time?
Every time.
Do you have like a dummy clap or anything?
Yeah, we call it purple.
What's that? No shit.
Yeah.
Even John Cruden's like, wait a minute, that's your snap count? When you go to the line, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing when you go to the line? All you're doing is going to the line and clapping. The whole purpose of the snap count is essentially to create movement, to create an element of unpredictability, to throw the defense off. That's why they have the double count. That's why they have the hard count. That's why it's used to call motion. It's used to call out defense. So this kid's just coming up there and clapping, which tells me he's getting the full read of the defense, basically, from the offensive coordinator or from the head coach. That's a big problem. I mean, literally the snap count only starts the whole play, only initiates the whole game in the offense. But this kid doesn't do it. I don't need to do that. Lane Kiffin tells me where to throw the ball. I throw the ball. That's a problem. This is why I'm saying this kid is a project. And like I said, Tim, you're just hating. You're just being a hater. No, I'm being honest. And I love the people who say, well, you mask your hate with honesty. Well, I never fucking understood that. Take a look at what Jaxson Dart has done. Seriously. He's put up some stats, he put up some numbers. But there's also numbers that we overlook. He's not clutch. Last year, he completed, I believe, 59% of his passes in the fourth quarter. He had an off-target rating in the fourth quarter of 15%. And that's really been over the last 3 seasons where I believe I think over the last years it's like 60% with like an off-target rate of 13%. In 3 years at Ole Miss and 1 year at USC, he threw 0, zip, and nada game-winning touchdowns. And he only led Ole Miss to a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter twice in 3 years. There is evidence that when the rush is in his face, he collapses and makes poor decisions. which led to 4 fourth-quarter interceptions. 2 of them were in the Florida game. It should have been 3 in the Florida game, but that one was called back. And that's a problem. That's an issue. And I talked about this many times on the live stream, that when you have a quarterback actually, I didn't say it. Colin Cowherd said it when he said you have a quarterback that no one's talking about really till after their college career is over, and then all of a sudden they're hyped up. There's a problem. They usually turn out to be busts. And I love it because I went through multiple. We did this on the live stream, but I don't think I've done it on the podcast. We've gone through multiple scouting reports, and these are scouting reports that were a week after the end of the college football season. This is when everyone's out of the season, and this is when the scouts are really starting to look at things and break things down because there's no more college football games. And some of the major concerns, I love the one, I've read this before, threw at a different arm angle, which is fine. But his release point was closer to his chest than his head, leading to 9 batted down passes in 2024. Same as shorter passers, Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. And 20 over his 3 years at Ole Miss. Coaches hopefully can address that tendency. Okay, that's not good. Another concern they had immediately after college, Dart was able to make reads pre-snap, but often made plays based on one read or half the field. There is some, but not enough evidence to confidently suggest Dart could consistently process defensive coverages post-snap. Nor was there enough evidence to show he can make full field reads. So basically what they're saying is, like I said before, Kiffin called in the plays. Jaxson Dart ran them, and that was it. It was a Pat Shurmur, Daniel Jones-esque situation. That could be a problem because you're not going to be able to get away with some of these things in the NFL. And it's critical to his NFL success that he gets a little bit more schemed up in the pro style offense. That's not good. One of the other issues that people saw with him, like I said, this is a week, and this is why we're going to talk about the progression of how he's gone to, to someone that people were calling him Christian Ponder, to now being the 25th overall pick. Has bouts of locking on to one player before throwing. Can't get away with that in the pros. Definitely didn't take easy throws as often as he should. Often looks for bigger plays, but results in missed opportunities. This is another one that I love. When Dart struggles to make reads post-snap or locks onto a player or pass up easy throws, he naturally held the ball too long. Sometimes it works out for him, sometimes it still doesn't. But in the pros, that figures to mean incompletion, sacks, or interceptions. Definitely pressure sensitive. Frequently opting for the escape hatch rather with his legs than sticking to a muddy pocket behind the line of scrimmage. Didn't consistently keep his eyes downfield, went on the move, frankly gave up way too soon on big plays once under pressure. This seems to be especially a factor in the second halves of games. So as he goes on, as we see by the statistics in the fourth quarter, he gets more nervous is what they're saying. Deep throws tend to have too much air under them, which I pointed out in the combine. People are like, oh, look at that deep pass. Go back and I've said this a million times on live streams. Go back and watch, or go back and Google or YouTube Google javelin thrower. Watch the guy throw the javelin and then watch Jaxson Dart at the combine. And tell me what you see. Because he's not going to be able to get away with what he was doing when he had no one in front of him. Those are problems, guys. The arm angles are an issue. The inability to make pre-snap reads is an issue. Locking on to one player is an issue. This all sounds like Daniel Jones. People say he has the arm strength. I love it. This is what people saw during the last 3 years at Ole Miss. Solid, serviceable velocity and zip on throws, including long sideline passes, but has a tendency to throw high when going deep. Okay. Again, I also love this one, but this was something that was listed as a good thing that he did. Primarily got by on one read, half the field read, but was able to frequently process what he saw on those reads and had some success. If I go up to the line and I'm only given one read, I hope that I'm successful. I really do. There are things to like about the kid as a project. I don't think the Rams were going to take Jaxson Dart at 26. And I've said this before because if you listen to, and this is easy to do because this is what I do a lot of times when I try to investigate stuff. Go listen to LA Sports Radio. Go read some of the papers from Los Angeles or whatever team that you're researching. And all I kept hearing was that McVay has a 2-year window with Stafford. He's looking for a tight end and a running back. Because the fact that they feel in LA they got a 2-year window to make the Super Bowl or the playoffs before Matthew's gone. And they weren't going to waste a pick on a quarterback at 25 when they had other viable needs besides taking a project quarterback. That's all. And it's like I said, it's not that hard to do. And I keep hearing people, well, they were going to take him at 25. They were jumping up. The Rams will never tell you they weren't. Sure they are. Teams have told it. I love it. There was a, back with Matt Rule, of course this is years ago, when Philadelphia was allegedly going after Matt Rule. And Giants had to go out and get Matt Rule. Giants were going to throw everything they had at Matt Rule. Oh, we have to go get Matt Rule. Matt Rule. We got to go get him. And the Eagles were evidently, going to be hot on his trail at one point in time. Dun, dun, dun. And they went Doug Peterson. And I knew someone at the time that worked for the Eagles, and they were like, we were never in on Matt Rule. we were always going with the Andy Reid disciple, Doug Peterson. So the situation, like I said, you hear the speculation of things, and half the times they're untrue. Can Jaxson Dart be an NFL quarterback? Can the likes of Brian Daboll coach his ass up? Well, Brian Daboll's most success in the NFL comes with Josh Allen. You look at the other offenses he was part of, there was really never a quarterback there that he maturated into something special. And I always love how they talk about Jalen Hurts and other players in college. Who was, I laugh about this too with Brian Daboll. Who was also the quarterback coach when Brian Daboll was coaching up Jalen Hurts? Wait a minute. Oh, it was Lane Kiffin. And this is one of the things that I think of that happened. Lane Kiffin and Brian Daboll have been together on numerous stops. I think Lane Kiffin got into Brian Daboll's ear and said, listen, you need to take this kid. You need to bring in this kid. He's got the moxie. He's got the Jonathan Moxon.
God damn. Only in America.
Only in America could a kid who was really never high on anyone's draft boards, was the 4th or 5th quarterback at any point in time going through the season, can be selected 25th overall. I give Joe Shane credit because I've said before I didn't think he had the balls to do it.
You have no marvelous.
So he had Joe Shane had the marbles to go out and get the kid. It's probably, like I said, we all have to hope that it works out. I mean, yeah, he had, but like I said, he had a nice career at Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin. But like I said, there is a lineage of quarterbacks that have had nice careers under Lane Kiffin that looked like they would be something special in the NFL, and they turned out to be nothing. And I kind of hope that that Jaxson Dart's going to buck that trend. But the problem is this, you have to look at this from a complete perspective. You have to look at the fact that, yes, there are some good things that Jaxson Dart does in school. There are some good things that he did in college. He has some abilities that you like in a quarterback, but he is also 1,468% a project. So the question is You took a quarterback at 25. You traded assets for a quarterback at 25. You had a good pick or a great pick at times with Abdul Carter. I still think Abdul Carter is a guy that is, I said this before. I told people I like the Abdul Carter pick. I don't have a problem with the Abdul Carter pick because I think he's going to be an impact pass rusher, which you need in this league. But people are like, well, you don't like it. No, I didn't say that. I said it just doesn't make sense for the Giants at 3 because you picked Kayvon Thibodeau at 5 3 years ago. You picked up his $16 million option for not this year, but the following year. You traded for Brian Birds, gave him $120 million and brought the guy in from Dallas. And so you went out and got a guy that's a pass rusher that it has the same attributes as the other 2 guys you already have. I just said scheme-wise, it doesn't make sense in the Shane Bowen offense. And I love the people that are like, well, why do you care about the scheme? Because the scheme of your defense or your offense is how you go out and score points or stop people from scoring. And if you don't have the correct pieces in place, it kind of doesn't fucking work. It's like if you're building a puzzle and all of a sudden you're going to add Lego pieces. Jaxson Dart, like I said, it is what it is. He's a Giant, so you hope he succeeds. You hope he does well. You hope you want to see him get better. You want to see him be an NFL quarterback. But like I said, if he's gonna have it, if for the last 4 seasons he wasn't really reading defenses and all the signs, all the signals were coming in directly from Kiffin or the offensive coordinator, and all he did is clap for a snap count. And if you watched him play, and like I said, you looked at him statistically and you see all the percentages, his passing percentages drop all the way to the lowest amounts in the fourth quarter, and he's had issues under pressure when the game is on the line. We've said it before. Great balls of fire.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
I should rephrase that. I hope it's not another Daniel Jones situation. I really do. But then I worry this. Let's say the Giants start out 0-7 and Daboll gets fired midseason. You are then going to have to find another head coach who's going to come in here and say, yes, I can work with Jaxson Dart and make him an NFL quarterback. Did we not learn our lesson with that with Brian Daboll? Have we not? And like I said, I'm still waiting for the boy genius Brian Daboll to come out here and run an offense because I haven't seen one in 3 years. And I love it because before it was always weapons with Daniel Jones. Now it's, Brian Daboll never had the complete complementary pieces that he needs to run his offense. Well, you know what? If you're the boy wonder, you scheme with the pieces you have. You don't just sit there and say, well, he can't do it. He can't do it without this, this, and this. Good coaches make teams better. Good coaches work with the pieces that they have. You had Malik Neighbors and you ran a one-dimensional offense. You have been calling plays for 2 years now. I've not seen any innovation. I've seen no skullduggery. I've seen no trickery. I feel bad for Jaxson Dart because Jaxson Dart is now going to be the poster boy of all the Daniel Jones lovers. This is their new toy. It's Jaxson Dart. And when he does something great, it's going to be overhyped. And when he does something horrid, I think they're going to turn on this kid a lot quicker than they did on Daniel Jones. And like I said, I hope to God he succeeds. Because as a Giant fan, you want to win games. But as a football fan, you have to look at what he can do realistically. Is he going to? I gave the pick a D-, the Jaxson Dart pick. I gave Abdul Carter an A. I give this pick a D-. Why? Because he's not really going to contribute this year. So if you have a guy that you took 25th overall that's not going to contribute at all this year, that and has some flaws, that's a D-. Oh, we're going to have to do a live stream, I think, on Sunday. I haven't decided yet. I want to welcome everyone also to the Believe Network. I believe I can fly. I've said it before. What does Carl Banks, Bob Papa, and Online Big Blue have in common? We're all part of the Believe Network. So make sure you can find it. We're still everywhere that podcasts are, and we're still on the YouTube channel. We're just also being hosted by Believe and working with them directly as well. So as always, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell because you want to know why. That'd be awesome.